E10AL listened to the slaver's sales pitch, raising his hand to halt him and demanding to see what he had. Slavers were always excessively polite when dealing with Jiken nobles. The slaver bowed and complied, and E10 smirked at the title. Recently coming of age, he inherited his late sire's land and property, managed by his maternal grandinar. Raised with the skills of a noble, humility was not among them. E10 often displayed haughtiness toward those he deemed inferior, especially the nonin, expecting deference as a Jiken noble. Rank was essential to the Jiken, those who had it flaunted it, and those who didn't sought it. E10's sire had earned his rank through exceptional service to the king, and E10 assumed those abilities were passed down to him. The gods placed nobles above others, after all. Displaying his power through acquiring new slaves to work his lands was a priority. What good is a title if you can't flaunt it? Unwilling to admit he was in over his head, E10 conferred with his steward about which slave would be most useful from the usual species. While the steward negotiated prices, E10 casually looked around and saw another slave inside the ship, shackled despite being caged. E10 couldn't see its face due to a hood. "Why isn't that one being presented?" he asked. "Lord, the hooded one in the ship?" "Ah, the human," the slaver replied. "He's bound for the mines in the Durari sector. Humans are too dangerous to serve in any other capacity, especially this one." "I've never heard of a human before," E10 continued. "Bring him forth." "But Lord, the human is not worthy of now," E10 interrupted. The slaver bowed and waved to his henchmen, who pulled stun batons from their belts. One approached the cage, unlocked it, and pulled on the shackles to get the slave moving, while the other stayed just out of reach with the baton ready. It was slow going with the leg shackles, but they eventually had him standing before E10. "Remove his hood," E10 ordered. The slaver complied, revealing the slave was also gagged. "Why is he gagged? Does he have large fangs or something?" E10 inquired. "No, my lord. He's just really annoying and disrespectful," the slaver answered. Turning to his steward, E10 asked, "Have you heard of these humans before?" "No, my lord," the steward replied, then addressed the slaver. "Where are these humans from?" "What system?" "Kansas 2489, systems in the Drake sector." "The humans call it Sol," the slaver began. "It's not surprising you've never seen one. They are low-tech and haven't even left their system yet. The Zareen capture them for study or experimentation. Unsuitable specimens are sold into slavery or to the fighting pits." E10 sat up at the mention of the fighting pits. He enjoyed them immensely and imagined himself a connoisseur of the martial arts used in the pits. If he had a fighter of his own, it could bring him fame. "How do they fare in the matches?" E10 asked. "If they are trained, they are above average," the slaver continued. "Their planet has higher gravity, making them stronger than most. They aren't as strong as your wreck bodyguards, but they are stronger than all but the Vaso slaves at the end. Humans are intelligent, especially for how primitive they are, but they can't match your Moor or steward. Their endurance is average among pit fighters, making them especially dangerous." "What do you mean by that?" E10 asked, confused. "They don't rely solely on one ability but on all of them at once. This one was a warrior when captured, so he's even more dangerous. I'll take him," E10 declared. Both his steward and the slaver looked astonished. "But my lord, it's not a good," the steward began. The slaver tried to reply, but E10's withering look silenced them. "I said I'll take him. And all the rest as well," E10 added. The slaver's attitude improved with this pronouncement. After the formalities of payment and transfer of ownership were done, the wreck led the slaves away. The hood was replaced on the human, but his leg shackles were removed for faster movement. The steward approached E10. "My lord, is it wise to have someone that dangerous on the estate?" the steward asked. E10 chuckled. "He won't be on the estate for long. I'm sending him to fight in the pits." The steward smiled. "Excellent idea, lord. I'll arrange his passage on the next ship." E10 was smug. "You heard the slaver. He's not as strong as my guards, nor can he outsmart you, and I am more than clever enough to handle him." In the middle of the night, a noise woke E10. Annoyed, he muttered about punishments for the culprit. He heard a loud thump, threw on his robe, and opened the slot in the door to see the hallway. He could barely make out the wreck guards flanking the door. "What was that noise?" he demanded, but neither guard answered. "Answer me." Still no reply. E10 closed the slot and opened the door. "I said answer me or I'll send you to the pits." He exited and turned to the guards, then realized they were gruesomely dead, throats slit and blood pooling at their feet. Shocked, It took him a moment to notice the thin wire wrapped around their necks, leading up to the access hatch in the ceiling. Whipping his head around, he looked for danger, then retreated to his room, slamming and locking the door. He looked for his sidearm, but it was too dark. Flipping the light switch, he saw the steward's head impaled on a bedpost. Backing toward the door, he bumped into something solid. Feeling another being's breath on his neck, a hand pulled his head back. "You should have listened to the slaver," was whispered into his ear before he felt a sharp line of fire across his neck. Struggling to breathe, he slipped into darkness.